Hello, mighty companions. This is Earl Purdy, and I'm here to do lesson 196 in A Course in Miracles. And it can be but myself I crucify. It can be but myself I crucify. I'm going to do the lesson and read it to you and share it to you and with you in plain language. Here we go. It can be but myself I crucify. When I finally firmly understand that it can be but myself I crucify, when I keep it in full awareness that it can be but myself I crucify, I will not attempt to harm myself. I won't attempt to make my body a slave to vengeance, and you won't either. When you realize that you can only attack yourself, you will not attack yourself, because you will realize that to attack someone else is but to attack yourself. You will be free of the insane belief that to attack somebody else saves you. And you will understand that another person's safety is your own safety. Another person's healing is your own healing. Perhaps at first you won't understand how mercy, limitless, and with all things held in its sure protection can be found in the idea we practice for today. It can be but myself I crucify. In fact, it may, in fact, appear to be a sign that punishment can never be escaped because your ego, under which your ego sees as threat, the ego is quick to cite the truth to save the ego's lies. Yet must the ego fail to understand the truth the ego uses this way. But you can learn to see these foolish applications of the truth. You can deny the meaning they appear to have. And in that way, do you also teach your mind that you are not an ego. You're not a separate identity from God. For the ways in which the ego, the part of you that thinks you're separate, would distort the truth, will not deceive you any longer. That means you will not believe you are a body to be crucified. And you will see within today's idea can be but yourself you crucify the light of resurrection. That means you can look past all thoughts of crucifixion and of death to thoughts of liberation and of life. Today's idea, it can be but myself I crucify. It's one step we take in leading us from bondage to the state of perfect freedom. Let us take this step to perfect freedom today, that we may quickly go the way healing shows us, taking every step in its appointed sequence as your mind relinquishes its burdens one by one. It is not time we need to do this. It is but willingness we need to do this. For what would seem to need because what would seem to take 1,000 years can easily be done in just one instant by the grace of God. Do you know the very hopeless thought that you can make attacks on someone else and escape yourself has nailed you to the cross? Perhaps it seemed to be salvation to think that you can attack someone else. Yet it merely stood for the belief the fear of God is real. And what is the belief that the fear of God is real but hell? Who can believe this? Who can believe that their own creator is their deadly enemy, separate from them, waiting to destroy their life and blot them from the universe without the fear of hell upon their heart? That's the form of madness that you believe, whether you realize it or not, if you accept the fearful thought that you can attack somebody else and then be free yourself. Until this form is changed, there is no hope. Until you see that this at least must be entirely impossible, that it protects you to attack someone else, how could there be escape? Do you know that the fear of God is real to anyone who thinks this thought that to attack someone else protects themselves is true? And that person will not perceive as foolishness or even see that the thought is there, so that the thought could be questioned, so that thought that you could attack someone else and benefit yourself could be released. To question this thought that attacking someone else protects you, to question it at all, its form must first be changed, at least as much as will permit fear of retaliation to abate, which means the responsibility returned to some extent to you. From there, you can at least consider if you want to go along this painful path. Until this shift from attack to peace has been accomplished, you cannot perceive that it is but your thoughts that bring you fear, and your deliverance depends on you. Our next steps will be easy if you take this one today. From there, we go ahead quite rapidly. For once you understand it is impossible that you be hurt except by your own thoughts. It's impossible that you be hurt except by your own thoughts. When you recognize that, the fear of God must disappear. You cannot then believe that fear is being caused by something outside of yourself. And God, whom you had thought to banish, can be welcomed back within the innocent mind that God never left. The song of healing, the song of release can certainly be heard in the idea we practice for today. It can be but yourself you crucify. If it can be but you crucify, you did not hurt the world, which means you need not fear the world's vengeance and pursuit. Nor need you hide in terror from the deadly fear of God projection hides behind. The thing you dread the most actually is your healing. You are strong, and it is strength you want. And you are free, which means you are glad of freedom. You have sought to be both weak and bound. because you feared your strength and you feared your freedom. Yet right-mindedness lies in your strength, and right-mindedness lies in your freedom. There is an instant in which terror seems to grip your mind so wholly that escape appears quite hopeless. When you realize once and for all that it's you fear, then your mind perceives itself as split, and your split mind has been concealed while you believed attack could be directed outward and return from outside to within. In other words, it seemed to be an enemy outside you that you had to fear, and thus a God outside yourself became your mortal enemy, the source of your fear. Now, for an instant, is a murderer perceived within you, eager for your death, intent on plotting punishment for you until the time when it can kill comes at last. Yet in this instant, actually it's the time as well in which your healing and enlightenment comes. For fear of God has disappeared, which means you can call on God to save you from your false ideas and illusions and fears by God's love. You can call God Father, Mother, and yourself God's creation. Pray that instant that you call on God may be soon, today. Step back from fear, and make advance to love. Do you know there is no thought of God that doesn't go with you to help you reach that healing instant, and to go beyond the healing instant quickly, surely, and forever? Do you know that when the fear of God is gone, there are no obstacles that still remain between you and the holy peace of God? How kind and merciful is the idea we practice. Give the idea for today welcome, as you should, because the idea for today is your release. The idea for today is indeed, because I want you to realize that it is indeed but you your mind can try to crucify. Yet your redemption, your healing too, will come from you. So the lesson for today is, it can be but myself I crucify. 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 It can be but yourself you crucify. It can only be yourself that you attack. 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 It can be but myself I crucify. It can only be myself that I attack. If everybody is one with me, it can only be myself that I attack. It can be but myself I crucify. It can be but myself I crucify. It can be but yourself you crucify. It can be but yourself you crucify. So check out my website at www.earlpurdy.com, and let peace and joy extend from my mind and let peace and joy extend from my mind and my heart to yours. And I want you to remember that it's only you crucify. So no longer attack others, and you will begin to experience the love and the joy and the happiness that is yours by divine right.